Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episodes 9 through 11 of Wandering Sun. So, in January of last year, through March, I reacted to the first 8 episodes of an anime series called Wandering Sun. For those who are new, just kind of a recap here. um, it is a series that focuses on a group of middle school kids, two of which, the main characters, are going through their journeys of discovering their gender and everything. The main character, Nitori, is a trans girl who's just discovering and learning all about that. And she has a friend who is coming to terms with being trans male. And there's multiple other characters throughout the show. And it's a very slice of life series with some romance tones. Um, and I watched through episode 8. But after episode 8, which I did I think I did like a couple episodes for that, I dropped the series. Not because it wasn't good, but because it was so slow paced, I felt that it was not great for reactions. I felt that it was just one of those shows that it was just, there wasn't ever enough to say. There wasn't ever enough to say. There wasn't ever enough to really react to. It's so slow, so not really boring or monotonous, but just really sluggish that it's better, I felt, to watch on my own time. But I never did. Um, Even after over a year and a half later, I never continued watching this. And pretty much for the same reason, because of the slow pacing. I just never really found interest in watching it when I could watch pretty much anything else. And again, it's not in any way nagging on the show itself. The show is very well written otherwise. And the characters are very good, and its way of showcasing these kids going through their trans journey is important and awesome. But the slow pacing hurts it for me personally. However, today, November 25th, is my trans-a-versary. 3 years ago today is when I came out as trans, openly and publicly. And so it's a day every year I kind of celebrate in a way, because of how important and just freeing coming out has been for me. And so this year I decided I'm going to finally finish this. For this year's Trans-a-versary special for the channel, I'm going to finally finish this. There's 3 episodes to go. I thought there were 4 episodes before, like when I did my last reaction. I thought there were 12 episodes, but no, there's only 11 actually. Um, I, I'm not sure why, but there is. But yeah, we're going to finish this out today and see what we got going. So I did a very quick, just kind of look through on what happened before. There's a karaoke thing going on. There was a date where Nitori was allowed to dress in her preferred clothing options. This was after the entire thing with the Romeo and Juliet play. I don't remember all the details. Nitori's sister was being a bitch. I remember that. The problem is with it having been so long, it's like there's going to be a lot I'm still going to have to catch up on. And I could have done like this big, long, like go through of like my past videos or rewatching the episodes, but I didn't want to. I don't want to spend all that time, admittedly, just going through all of that again. Um, it's not one of those shows where I'd be like super excited to, and it's not even a case where it's like, oh, I could watch another reactor, their videos on it, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone else react to this. Um, so yeah, I just did a quick skim through like the episode synopsises and stuff. Hopefully, I'll catch up back up with it quickly. Um, but yeah, like I said, I did like this series very much so. It's just it was the pacing pretty much that ruined it for me. Um, but hopefully these final three episodes really just do well here. Um, so we'll see. We'll see. But I am interested in finally finishing this because it is one that I have wanted to finish. Um, and I hope that it just ends on a good note. Like this will never like be my favorite anime of all time or anything. I like it for what it does and for how big and important it is in terms of its messages and themes and ideas. Um, but at the same time, it's like because of its slow pacing, because it's not exactly super interesting or exciting outside of that, it's not something that really comes across as one of those anime that you would claim as like your favorite. Unless you're like super into the anime that borrow more heavily from realism and extremely dramatic ideas and all. Like I'm more into the exciting stuff. Most of the time, there's exceptions, but still. Anywho, anywho, um, we're just gonna get this started because I don't really have much of anything else to say going into it. Because as I said, I only did a quick like run through of the synopsises and whatnot. Uh, but I there are other things I also want to record today, so it's like I want to make sure I can get to these. Especially because it's Thanksgiving week and I'm not going to be able to record tomorrow or Friday. Well, maybe Friday, but unclear right now. Um, maybe. I'm not going to promise anything though. Either way, let's just get this started. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in three, two, one, now. So I looked up Wandering Sun after the reaction just to see like what kind of differences and stuff there were with the original source material and everything compared to this anime. There's apparently quite a few. One, the anime kind of just cuts it short, the story of the manga. The manga goes up until like college years and everything. Um, there's also a few differences that don't occur in this anime. There's a few things that aren't shown. Makoto Arika, Nitori's best friend, the one with the glasses who she referred to as cute, apparently also comes out as a trans girl at some point. Um, on top of that, Takatsuki apparently, let me see here. Trying to read through everything. So sorry about that. Yeah, I must have read that wrong. But the point is, multiple characters go through multiple things that we don't get to see. Um, it seems like there's an entire big plot point following where it leaves off. Because it left off with Nitori's voice starting to change, the play happening, the second play. But then there's also apparently a part in the manga that goes into their high school life, um, work life, more that goes more heavily into romance and goes all the way into college and stuff. So there's a lot more. What I'm saying. Sorry for that long pause as well. I was trying to look through that. I thought I read something else there, but I misread it. Don't worry about it. So these final three episodes, apparently episode 10 was actually split into two episodes when it was aired for some reason. I don't understand, but whatever. Um, I found that out as too when I was looking it up. But yeah, uh, this was okay. It's like it wasn't the biggest. Um, it wasn't the biggest and best probably representation it could have been. Let's put it this way. Okay, let's talk about this because throughout the entire series, and I don't know exactly how the manga portrays it in comparison, but throughout the entire series, the characters are consistently and constantly referred to by the genders they were assigned at birth, even after they've openly showcased and shown that they are not what assigned at birth. Nitori, for example, is a girl, and she's shown that she's even gone to school like that. But at the same time, even after that fact, she's still constantly referred to, even by friends, as a boy. And the reverse is the same with Takatsuki. And I understand why, but it's really hard to watch as a trans girl myself, just seeing that constant misgendering. Um, on top of that, there's constant use by multiple characters of light transphobia, showing like the idea of uh, Nitori especially being a freak especially because of the incident with her going to the school dressed as she wants to be. There's a lot with that. A lot of characters are forgiven really easily, despite saying that kind of stuff and being just terribly shitty, like Doe, for example. Even though Nitori still said that she hated him, it's like she was still putting herself in a situation to work with him, and it's like it's really just not the best. There's a lot of toxic relationships showcased in this, and some of them aren't even addressed like at all. Like the fact that Momo was extremely toxic towards Nitori, and all Chi-chan did was like say like, "Oh, I'm a freak. I've always been a freak," and it's like not really actually solving the problem, not even really confronting Momo when she was calling Nitori a freak like that. And then, and throughout the rest of the episodes here, we still see Momo still hanging out with them and all, and it's weird when you have this kind of thing going on and you have these kind of characters saying this kind of stuff and doing this kind of stuff with the context that we have. Not to mention there. Let me see when this was made real quick, and when the anime came out. Okay, so the manga came out from was the manga ran from 2002 to 2013 apparently, and the anime was in 2011. So yeah, I was looking that up because there are some outdated terms in this anime, such as transsexual, which is not a term people use anymore because it's problematic. Um, and implies a lot of really problematic stuff in regards to trans people. Um, but based on the time this came out, that was a lot more common then, both in terms of when the manga was written and when the anime was released. So I'm not too surprised by it, and let's talk about that. So this is it's obviously a Japanese property, and Japan is very notably not the best at handling LGBTQ plus issues. They just aren't. You'll see a lot of anime and manga and stuff where you'll see like LGBTQ plus romances or characters or whatnot. Um, but the actual country itself is not great with that kind of stuff. And even in a lot of these anime where this is handled, it's usually either fetishized, played for laughs, or seen as weird and unusual. Even when it is seen more as a straight laced thing, like, oh, you'll have a romance anime between two girls or two guys, most of the time it's almost kind of fetishized in the way it's presented. It's not really showcased all the time as like full, just natural, healthy love. And there are exceptions to this. There very much are. There are shows that do handle it right. I won't argue that, but I'm just saying on a full scale. Um, this show, another thing it did not do is it never really gave us any um, real kind of or conclusion with all this. It never really made us feel like everything was wrapped up. Like I don't know if they planned to make a second season, but it definitely felt like it was setting up for a second season rather than actually ending things off. Um, there was just multiple cases where it was just it just felt like it was the ending for a season rather than a series. It felt incomplete. Let's put it that way. Um, and one of the big reasons why is it never really had Nitori come out and say she's a girl, or Takatsuki say he's a boy, or so on and so forth. It never really came out to say that with any of them. In fact, even up to the end, like, not really anything changes with Nitori constantly still being referred to as male and Takatsuki still being referred to as female, and even them referring to each other with those terms. And it's just, it felt like it was dancing around the issue. Like it didn't want to go into like fully saying it, into like giving that cathartic uh confirmation. It didn't feel like it wanted to. Like I said, like it was dancing around the issue and just trying not to confirm it as so they don't offend anyone or something like that. And because of it, it just felt incomplete. It felt like they didn't really come to any conclusion here. Like I said, um, which is really sad. And the ending is kind of the closest it gets, because it's like the play, they say it right out to the audience. The play is called "I Am a Girl," and then you see Nitori's like struggle for a moment, but then gain a boost of confidence before walking out onto the stage. And it's like, yeah, we kind of get what that's supposed to represent. We kind of understand that right after hearing the play's title and stuff, then you see Nitori go out on stage, and it's like, yeah, of course, we understand. But I felt like it would have been better if you had Nitori just say those words as well, just to herself before walking out on stage. That would have been it would have fixed my issue with the ending feeling incomplete. Um, it would have felt much more complete that way. It would have felt much more like this story arc has really gone somewhere. Um, it would have felt more like an ending rather than just the ending of an episode. Like honestly, I could imagine there being another episode after this because it didn't feel like the ending of a season even that much. Um, Overall, these episodes still retain the very slow pace that the rest of the series had, and I got caught up with a lot of the names quickly. Doi, Nitori, Takatsuki, Chiba, Chisan, um, Makoto Riga. I was getting caught up with them fairly quickly. Like I was remembering stuff. But obviously I didn't remember everything. Um, just because it had been so long still. I'm glad I finally finished it, and overall, like this series, despite my issues with it, especially in the end here, it was still good. It wasn't great, it wasn't anything like spectacular, but it was good, and honestly, it did more for the case of trans people in terms of anime than almost anything else I have seen. In fact, probably than anything else I have seen. Just for the fact alone that it covered realistic depictions of gender dysphoria, realistic depictions of the uncertainty, confusion, and concern about coming out and everything. And it did so well at that kind of stuff. So it's kind of disappointing with the negatives I have with it because it did so well at the positives. Um, the characters were likable, but not super exciting. Like, honestly, outside of our two main leads, uh, none of the other characters really had that much to care about. Outside of Nitori and Takatsuki, most of the other characters were just there. They were basically just there to push the story forward and to make the main characters like go through issues or have support networks or all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, don't get me wrong, it's not that I didn't like some of them. Ariga Makoto, for example, I did like. Um, and I like Chi Chan. I like the one woman who they were talking to in the apartment, the one who had already gone through the transition and everything. I can't remember her name right now. Um, but yeah, I like a lot of these characters. It's just they don't have much to them, I feel. Like there's some exceptions, obviously, like with Nitori's sister or Anna or characters like that, of course, who have a lot more screen time than others. But just in general, they didn't feel like they were as important. Um, but then you have the story itself, which again, it feels so incomplete. The concept alone, the story alone is fine. The struggles that they show our characters going through, I really again like how they handled them. Even at the end here with Nitori's voice changing, I like that how she was concerned about that, but eventually just kind of like just let it be and just agreed that it's just a part of who I am. And it's like not everyone, not all trans women especially can think like that, and a lot of us do have issues with our voices. But still, it's nice to see that kind of confidence and acceptance of yourself, nonetheless. Um, in the end, I'm glad I finally got around to finishing this. Um, and I think it was a good idea to do this for today for my trans-a-versary. Um, it wasn't the most exciting thing to react to. It wasn't the most interesting reaction from my part, but I hope you all enjoyed nonetheless. Um, and yeah, this series can officially be closed off and called finished in terms of our reactions. um, but yeah, obviously, since this wasn't a normal scheduled reaction. It doesn't affect anything else. Nothing else is replacing it because it wasn't on the schedule. It was just a special reaction for today. Um, but for all of you who had watched back when I first reacted to this series, and for all of you who might have just watched these last 3 episodes with me, tell me your thoughts down in the comments below of Wandering Sun. And if you've ever checked out the manga, let me know what you thought about that as well. In the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, we're going to get to other stuff today, but I just am really happy and excited to be 3 years along this journey. It's so freeing, so wonderful. So thank you all for continuing to support me and the channel. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.